Hi guys, this is Mr. Adams from Midwood High School, and this is a video on how do we analyze branch hydrocarbons. As always guys, please be safe and follow the guidelines. We already did a video on this topic, but I wanted to go in more in depth because I'm going to give you guys a worksheet at the end for you guys to do. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some more notes on this. Okay. Now, guys, in the topic of hydrocarbons, right, we agreed that hydrocarbons are compounds, right, made up of just hydrogens and carbons only, right? And there's some terms that we need to know. There's something called saturated hydrocarbons, right, in which they hold the maximum number of hydrogens possible. So these saturated hydrocarbons will only be alkanes because they that's how you would hold the max number of hydrogens possible in a particular hydrocarbon, okay? Alrighty. Unsaturated hydrocarbons, right, do not hold the max number, okay? And those will be your alkenes or alkynes, which we'll talk about in the future. Alkenes have double bonds, and alkynes have triple bonds in them between the carbons, okay? Another name, okay, for open chain or straight chain alkanes or compounds is called aliphatic. Okay, this is a big fancy term, just meaning this you're open chain. You're not in a ring or a circle. Okay, alkanes, right? Alkenes and alkynes, they belong to something called a homologous series, right? Now, what's the same about these guys? They have the same general formula, guys. Now, if you look on table, I think it's table Q of your reference table, you will see the particular general formulas that each hydrocarbon has. And I think alkanes is, what is it, CnH2n plus 2, right? So all alkanes will follow this general formula, okay? Alrighty, so let's move on. Now, once again, you can pause the video and take the notes as needed. Okay. All right, guys, I want you to take these rules down here. Okay, we always want to make sure that we have the longest continuous number of carbons when we're naming alkanes. Now, the thing is, the chain itself, right, does not have to be straight. A lot of students sometimes feel that it has to be straight, but we'll expound on that a bit later on. Now, this longest chain, right, is called the parent chain, okay? Now, you're going to think of the parent chain as a tree trunk, okay? I'll explain that to you later on. Okay, for number 2, we want to identify branches, guys. Once you've identified your parent, your longest possible chain, anything hanging off the side will be called branches. And those branches, okay, are the number of carbons that hang off the side, okay, of your parent. Alrighty. Now, for number 3, okay, you want to locate the branches on the parent by numbers, okay? And you want to give these numbers the lowest possible positions on the parent chain, okay? You want to use the lowest numbers. So you can count from either direction, okay? You can count from the left or count from the right. But whatever direction you choose to get the lowest number, you have to be consistent. You got to stay with that direction. And as always, guys, we'll do an example in a second, okay? Alrighty. Okay, for number 4, if you have more than one of the same branch, okay, we're going to use these prefixes di, tri, and so on, okay? So I'll explain that with an example in a minute, but I'll do a quick one right here. Let's say we have this, right? This is our parent right here, 4 carbons, right? And let's say we have a branch here and a branch there. Let me just draw everything in first. Okay, so let's say our longest chain possible, I'll use green for this. Bam. Okay, that's our longest possible continuous number of carbons, yes? Okay, now these guys, right, these guys hanging off this, excuse me, these guys hanging off the side here, see this carbon right here, and this carbon right here, those are called branches or alkyl groups. Now this is only 1 carbon, and that's only 1 carbon, so the prefix of 1 is what? It's meth, right? So you have 2 methyl groups here. So this, you would say, in this name, you would have dimethyl in the name. Why? Because we have two of the same groups, and they're two methyl groups. We'll talk more about that with an example later on. Number 5, by convention, right, we put commas between numbers, and we put dashes between numbers and words. Okay, that's a convention that the scientists came up with in terms of the IUPAC naming system. Okay, all right, so got a quiz for you right here. If I were to ask you, right, what's the longest number of continuous carbons in this guy, what would you say? Okay, 1, 2, okay. Now, the longest continuous number of carbons will be all of these guys right here, folks. You see that? Bam. Okay, this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It'll be 8 carbons. And a lot of times students only choose this or they only choose that, right? But no, it'll be all of these guys. That will be your longest continuous chain. And the parent name, since it's 8 carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, will be octane. Okay, that would be the parent, right? Now, what's this called? It's called a branch, right? How many carbons are there? 1 carbon. What's the prefix of 1? Meth. So that will be called a methyl group. All right, so what does methyl mean? YL mean again? It's a branch, 1 carbon hanging off the side. At what position number? So you can come from this direction, or you can come from this direction to get the lowest number. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we come from this way, guys, and this is 1, and that's 2, and so on, and that's 3, and that's 4, you will get 4 methyl octane, and you're done. So that's how you name these guys. Okay. Now I want you to take this down, okay? Okay, this is another example right here. This right here is our longest continuous number of carbons. That's your parent chain, okay? Your parent chain is your tree trunk. And the branch hanging off the side right here, okay, that's your alkyl group. So the longest, to answer this question here, the longest continuous number of carbons is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's going to be what? That's going to be pentane as your parent, right? Okay, now another question is, which direction gives you the lowest position for your alkyl group? You can come from this direction, or you can come from the opposite direction, right? But we see counting from left to right, we're going to get position 1 here, position 2 there, okay? So how would I name this? I would simply call it 2-methyl, okay? 2-methyl pentane. Now, what does 2-methyl pentane mean? Pentane is my parent. That's these 5 carbons right here, the longest continuous number of carbons. Methyl, what does methyl mean? It means I have 1 carbon hanging off the side as a branch somewhere, right? Where is that carbon hanging off the side? Position number 2. Position number 2 on the parent. Carbon number 2 on the parent. You're good to go. 2-methyl pentane is your name. Okay. Alrighty. So as you notice, take this down in your notes also, guys. The parent chain, right, comes last in the naming, and the position of the alkyl group goes in front. So the alkyl part, branch part, goes in front with a number, and the parent is in the back. Alrighty, let's move on. Now, guys, I want you to copy the guy right here. This is whole thing, these 3 structures down on your notes someplace, or take a picture, whatever, no problem. I want you guys to name these guys right here. And on the, draw the, name them. Yes, on the other side, draw the structures. So these 3 right here, folks, you're going to name, and these 3 right here, you're going to draw the structures for those guys right here. Okay, don't want you guys to panic. All right, follow the instructions in terms of the rules. Okay, locate the longest continuous number of carbons possible. Okay, and go from there. All right, start, if you're drawing it, start with the parent first, pentane. You know what the prefix of pent means is 5. You put that down and you go from there. All right, guys, and you're gonna send this in for me. I'm gonna use this as a test grade. Take your time. There's no hard and fast deadlines for these things, but just do them within a reasonable time. All right, guys, as always, hard work plus sacrifice equals success. Follow the rules that we went over just now right here, guys, from 1 to 5. Okay, some extra information here about hydrocarbons, saturated, unsaturated, and we'll get through this. All right, take care.